Hello again, Coty Wiles and Brendan Stewart here, taking a look at some of the options for the Toronto Raptors at 39th overall in the 2025 NBA draft. If you want to check out who we talked about at 9, go check out our last episode. I think we talked about like 7 or 8 dudes, pretty in depth. We surprisingly fit it into like an hour around there. So go check that out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. Before we get into everything, Brendan, how are you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Just, super busy. Great time of the year for basketball. We're game 7 of the finals. Kevin Durant just got traded for pennies. And now we're going into the draft and we're loading up on second rounders. I don't know about you, but I've been insanely busy trying to fit in all these guys and get analysis out. But yeah, overall going good. How about yourself, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Again, yeah, right before we started recording, Kevin Durant to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, 10th overall, and I think it was 5 second-round picks. So, yeah, a bit of a steal. The Raptors were obviously clearly involved in that deal. I think it made the most sense for Toronto to hold back, though. Going to a situation like Houston, I think is a bit better for KD himself. So, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the 39th overall selection. That's what we're doing here. Um, Again, it's Brendan. We were talking about it right before we jumped on here. It's been stated across a lot of platforms, people talking about it. The NIL money, people, players going back to school. It's really cut through the depth of this class in the second round.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think this class had a reputation of being very deep at the start of the year. And I think if a lot of players had returned rather than going back to school, that would have been still been the case. We probably would have had maybe 10, 15 guys we could have been talking about today. But yeah, with all these guys going back to school, it's just made the second round and even the end of the first round just a lot more shallow than I think a lot of teams were expecting. So yeah, while this draft started out with a bit of a reputation of it being more deep, I think it's gonna come out with the reputation of maybe being a little top heavy more than anything. I don't know if you have the same opinion on that.
Yeah, I would say as we are recording this 3 days out of the draft, yeah, that's where I'm landing too. But okay, for today, we are going to get in depth on a plethora of guys. We're still doing it, no matter who's available.
Yep.
We're going to go with Ryan Nembhard today, Kobe Brea, Cam Jones, Yanick Konan-Neerhouser, Jamir Watkins, and Sion James. Of course, there's plenty of other guys the Raptors can take here. They've worked out a bunch of guys. I have a pre-draft tracker going up on Raptors Republic, so quick little plug there to go check that out as well. But Brendan, again, I'll give you the floor wherever you want to start. We can start.
Sure. So like I think myself and a lot of Raptors fans are really, really hoping that Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to somehow fall to 39. And because we just said that this draft's going to be super shallow, that's probably not going to be the case. He's probably going to be a late first rounder. So we can kind of just toss that to the side and be more of a fingers
Yeah,
crossed, please.
I didn't
Uh,
even mention Ryan Kalkbrenner, Maxime Reynaud. I think, yeah, a lot of Raptors fans, us both included, um, would love for them to fall to Toronto. You can go check out Reddit's piece on Kalkbrenner. Yeah, it's looking. I mean, I don't know where you have them personally on your board. I have them both as top 30 guys in the class. So
yeah,
to
I
me,
have Kalkbrenner around that 25, 27 spot, and Reno is probably like a little lower than that, but I think teams are kind of putting him higher in consensus. So he's another guy who I'd be surprised to be there at 39.
we could touch on them if you like. I don't know how realistic it is.
Briefly,
Those guys. Yeah, sure,
I think we can. And I was gonna say maybe we can touch on them briefly at the end. We can just jump into it with
sure.
some guys who are actually going to be there. And yeah, probably one of my favorite options at 39. I actually think I might like this guy a bit more than Ryan Kalkbrenner, and that's Sion James from Duke. Just because he's everything you want in a second round pick. Just due to how versatile, how gritty, how much heart he plays with. He's a tank. He does everything well from defense to spot up shooting. Everything you want in a complementary player. And I think that he reminds me a lot of like PJ Tucker, those just like glue guys on championship teams, like on maybe like Indiana, maybe those guys like Ben Shepherd, Obi Toppin, just not direct comparisons, but like guys who will come in and they'll give you some winning plays and they know how to get your team in good spots. Um, but yeah, Sion, 6'6" wing, Duke University, 22 years old. I'll give you some stats here real quick. 25 minutes a game, 51% from the floor, 41% from three, albeit on a bit low volume. He only took about just under 6 shots a game and just under 2 threes a game. 8 points, 8.6 points, 2.9 assists, 4.2 rebounds, zero point 0.3 blocks, zero point 0.8 steals. So all around, not the numbers don't jump off the page at you, but I think that given the fact that he's was always like the fourth or fifth option on the floor at Duke and was a guy who was basically just out there to give you some hustle, some do all the little things. And if I know there's anything about Raptors fans is they love guys who do that, who do the little things.
Yeah, and he's a guy that could be benefiting from these finals, right? There's a lot of guys in this series right now, kind of similar to Sion James, and because he has he has a good intersection of strength and athleticism, and I think what I've started to learn in my process of evaluating guys is you want to look for playoff guys, right?
Yep.
And physicality is up in the playoffs, and he is someone at 220. He's powerful. He has huge shoulders, just strong in general with the athleticism that he theoretically is somebody who could, you know, be fine in that sort of environment and even excel in it. I think he's an excellent. I want to start with the defense.
Sure.
Because to me, he's an excellent defender at both the one and the two.
I agree.
That's who he's gonna. He's disruptive at the point of attack. He gets up in your space. Frustrates guys with his size and quickness. You mentioned 6'4.5" without shoes,
Yep.
with a 6'6.5" wingspan. So that's a pretty fine size. Like it's not like incredible, but with his strength and athleticism, it creates a nice little combination there. One thing I noticed, he was great laterally, better than you'd think. Like at 220, and as strong as he's been saying, or as I've been saying, I feel like he's able to wall up very well, and he's able to slide before walling up once he gets there. Fights through screens well, and then off the ball, he knows where he's supposed to be, processes well, and I think he's good on closeouts. So ultimately, defensively, I was impressed with him. I think he in Toronto specifically, he would help. Um, Toronto's had some point of attack defensive issues for a couple of years now. Obviously, Jamal Shed has helped in that aspect, but I
Yep.
think he's somebody that could slide in and help defensively right away.
Yeah, I agree. And like when you talk about his strength, even though he comes in at, like you said, 6'4.5", barefoot, he'll be like 6'6" on the floor in the NBA. But just due to how strong he is and how fast he is, he's a really good athlete. Like probably one of the top athletes in the class, if I were to say. And just how he competes on defense, I could see him being like, yeah, you mentioned defending the 1-2. I could see him defending the 3. And if he
Yeah.
gets even stronger, maybe even some small ball force. Like, I think that's how versatile he can be defensively, just due to how much he gives a damn, how good his instincts are, how strong he is. So, yeah, all super valuable things from him. And one thing I didn't think we really touched on, but I think is kind of important to note for a player like him is that solid playmaker, like really good. Touch under 3 assists a game, I believe. It was 2.9. 18.9% assist percentage. He led Duke in assist turnover.
Yep.
So he had the highest assist
2.9 to
turnover ratio
1.2.
on
Yeah.
on the same team as Cooper Flagg and Tyrese Proctor, who's also a very good point guard. So you have this guy who is basically a Swiss Army knife, but also does like playmaking. He can pass quite well. Um, the shot, I think, is something where it's like didn't look so great his first couple of years, and then at Duke really kind of started to turn it around. He doesn't shoot off the dribble all that much, but he was one of the best spot up shooters that I noticed. So I think he can be really good as one of those like secondary or complementary shooting roles for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, moving over to the offense with him. Yeah, the jumper is the key for him to really be effective in the NBA. He over the last 2 years made 39.4% of nearly 200 3-point attempts. So that's solid, and again, like you mentioned, that's all spot up. And he took limited numbers off the catch, but made 40 damn near 47% off the catch. So that's really intriguing. I think the shot prep is good and the mechanics are all right. And I think he's a sharp cutter, moves well off the ball. Like he's clearly an off ball player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to keep the ball moving. Like you mentioned, he has one of the higher assist turnover ratios on Duke. He doesn't make bad decisions. I trust him to not make a dumb decision offensively. He's either going to keep it moving. He knows his role offensively. And to me, he's going to fit in really well in the NBA if he can shoot it. That's which I don't see a reason why he can't. You know what I mean? For like if you're looking at the weaknesses with him, uh, he can be a little slow. Like when closing out, I would say like he can get burnt by a little bit, and then same with when he's offensively, like he doesn't like creating an advantage. Like he doesn't really have the quickness to or the handle really to get his own shot up. Which
Though I think it's still solid for how he plays. I think he has he's not someone who just fumbles the ball every time he puts it on the ground. I think he can handle a little bit if you ask him to. But yeah, you don't want him to be like a super handler or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. I mean, that's Sion James. Is really anything else you want to touch? Oh, he made 1 of 11 on off the dribble threes. I knew I had it somewhere. I was searching through my notes for it. So yeah, not really.
Yeah.
That was just last season, and then he was 12 of 44 on pull up threes. And then he only made 4 threes off screens over the last 3 years. So not really the most effective movement shooter. I mean, not a movement shooter at all. But stationary, which is what he does. He does it well.
Yeah, and like he's just good, man. Like at this point in the draft, you just want to find someone who's good, someone who's going to stick around. And I think
Yeah.
like if you're putting money down to say like who's going to last beyond their first contract in the NBA, I'm putting my bank account on Sion James.
Okay, Brandon, I see you. But yeah, he's worked out for Toronto. I think he's a clear option at 39. He fit in at Duke with all those guys around him. I don't see why he couldn't do it in Toronto. All right. Anything else?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay, great. Let's move on to. I want to talk about Ryan Nembhard. Let's
Sure.
talk about Ryan.
Let's talk about Ryan.
Case to be the best pure point guard in the class. If not, he is. Led the country in assists at nearly 10 a game, a near 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Like incredible feel. Well, one thing that I think would really fit in Toronto is he's really good in transition, quick outlet and hit ahead passes, always pushing the tempo. And then with Toronto's athletes all around him in transition, it would be, I think he would really help in that aspect as well. Dynamic in ball screens. He can make every pass really and makes them well. Creative angles, deceptive with his eyes, manipulating defenders, and then throwing passes off a live dribble is something I also look for. And he was really well in that aspect. So as a pure point guard, as a passer, I think he does it all. I think he has a good handle. He's comfortable in the middle of the floor as well, which I really like. I think he can do a lot of things.
I agree with you. I think that people get caught up in the size, which is definitely
I was going to get there.
not great. Like at 5'11" barefoot, I believe it was. So like
he would be one of the smallest players in the NBA.
He would be, and he's gonna get targeted defensively because of that. But I think that, like you said, he is one of the best, if not the best, pure point guards in the draft. One of the best floor generals. I think that as in terms of like what you're getting in the second round or like in like these late second round slots where a lot of guys are getting like two-way contracts or training camp deals, like you can't really go wrong with what Nembhard provides you because he can, like you said, he can make every pass in the book, super creative, super timely with his passes, can just run the offense, set the tempo. And I think that he's gonna get an opportunity because of that. Even with his poor size, I would say like in from what I've watched him, he still competes defensively. Like he tries his best. I think he even said he when he did his workout with Golden State that this question came up, and they asked him, they were like, how are you going to overcome your size limitations? And he was very upfront about it. He was like, well, I want to make sure that teams know that I'm just more than a passer, that I can actually compete on the defensive end, and want to make sure that teams realize that I can stay on the floor even though I'm not one of the bigger guys out there, which is great because you want a guy with that size coming in with that mentality. I think that's the same mentality guys with like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet play with. And he's not as stocky or as strong as those two, but he has quick hands. He knows how to read defenses. He can get in the passing lanes. And that's at that point, that's all you can really ask for of him. So I think that he is going to be someone to keep an eye on at 39, just because I know for a fact that they really wanted Andrew a couple of years ago, before he was sniped, like I think one pick ahead of them, which was really unfortunate because I also really liked Andrew, and now he's on the verge of winning a ring as of this recording. So we can talk what ifs all day, but I do think Ryan's a really solid option here. I like him a lot. I don't know if he'd be my first choice. I don't know about you, but I do like him. I think his range is a bit more kind of deep second round. So like when we talk about these guys, if you like someone, you take them at this point in the draft because you really don't know where they're gonna go. But I think Ryan's somebody who's gone. You commonly see him in like the mid 40s to like almost undrafted. So I think if you do really like him, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe grabbing a pick in the 40s and taking him. I don't know if I'd take him right at 39. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I got him right at 39.
Okay.
And I understand the size. I understand all of it. But to me, it's in this class with all this talent going, I'm just gonna I know the size, but I'm just gonna bet on the guy who I think can at least at the very worst be a tough competitor in the locker room who knows how to play basketball and did it well. Defensively, yeah, he's tough on that end. He eats space up in the point of attack. He gets into you. Obviously, a low center of gravity. He's not going to hurt you defensively by being in the wrong spot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's smart. He's got the very active hands, like you mentioned, almost 2 steals per game. Disruptive with digs when he's off the ball. I actually don't even think he hurt Gonzaga defensively this year.
No, he was pretty solid for them.
But obviously the NBA is going to be a whole different animal.
Mhm.
Yeah, obviously it's also not like a wild athlete. Not really a great first step or explosive vertically. But he makes up for it with balance, his hand eye. He's really reactive and he's smart. That's where he makes up for his size, the lack of size, lack of explosion. What you have it. Back to the offense real quick to the three, because if you're this small, you got to shoot the three. So he shot almost 37% on pull up threes on 1.5 attempts per game. Not that's I would like the volume to be up a bit more, but a solid percentage in general. And then he also shot 44.4% on catch and shoot threes. Only one per game. So it wasn't, again, like the three ball wasn't like the biggest part of his game, but there are decent indicators there that it could be better. I think like I wouldn't worry about the shot, but it's just at 5'11" without shoes with a 7'10" standing reach at 175 pounds. Like you just got to shoot the three at a really good level. But yeah, I think he's going to be able to get things organized. He's going to pass the ball. I don't know what sort of impact he'd make on the Raptors if they were to take him at 39. It seems like a good candidate to play with the 905 immediately and just be one of the best players in the G League. And that's usually how it goes for these smaller guards, at least to start. But man, I think obviously it's going to depend how the board falls. And I think Toronto, part of like the behind the scenes stuff would be with their roster crunch. It's going to be who's going to take a 2-way contract. I think could be part of it. uh, because they are pretty tight up against the tax threshold here. As of right now, with the ninth overall pick, they're going to be about 200,000 over. So the tax. So the 39th pick, maybe they take somebody who's more inclined to take a two-way contract,
Yep.
potentially like a Nembhard. I have him at 39, so it wouldn't be a reach to me, but I would understand if they wanted to pass, especially with, somebody like Jamal Shed already being there who kind of fills that role already. But um, yeah, I think he's draftable. I think he's going to get drafted. I don't think he's a UDFA target for the Raptors anymore. I think he's going to be drafted.
Yeah, I would be in the same boat there. I think he's somebody who you can keep an eye on, and like that is something we have to consider too, is that they may not even end up keeping this pick. But it's as long as they have it, we have to talk about like the possibilities. And I think Ryan is definitely, if I were to assemble a short list for guys that I think the Raptors would be targeting here, I think Ryan would probably be in like the top 5 or 6. And yeah, and like even going back to the size, you got to talk about if he was 3 inches taller and he's getting burned defensively, like he would still be giving you, I think, this similar defensive value just due to what he provides. Like if he was 6'1", 6'2", versus his current height, he gets burned. He's getting burned either way. Like at that point, just due to
Yeah,
how he competes. So I would, yeah, I think I probably gonna end up with him in like around the same spot, like late 30s, early 40s. So I wouldn't consider it like a reach here. I would just keep in mind like other guys, like if there's guys like Sion James or other guys we're going to talk about
yeah.
today, Brea, Cam Jones, who are still kind of around that range, and then I'd be a little hesitant with picking Nembhard. But at the end of the day, if they go with him at 39, I don't think I'd be too mad at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's 5'11" without shoes. What does it matter if you're 6'1" at this point? Like
Yeah,
the NBA, the way the guard position, like man, 6'2", 6'3" for a guard used to be like, oh, he's got like
tall.
good size. And
Yeah,
now it's like you gotta be like 6'4", 6'5". But yeah, at that point, if you're 5'11", 6', 6'1", I don't think it I think you might be getting bogged down a little bit in the measurements there. And
yeah,
that's why with my ranking at 39, it's I know what he can do. There's good shot indicators. He didn't really hurt Gonzaga defensively, even though he's going to get picked on in the NBA, and it probably won't go well. It's just not. But I think he's going to give a damn on that end, and he's going to
yep.
try. And he understands. That's just how the Nembhards are built. So
They're competitors.
yeah, and just the way he can pass the ball is that's his elite. He has an elite skill, which there's some guys you can't say that about in this class. There's a lot of guys you can't say that about in this class. He has an elite skill, and that's his passing. So, all right, you mentioned Brea or Cam Jones. I'll let you. These are both of your guys, so I'll let you. I'll let you pick one of them.
Let's go to Cam Jones, man. I had him as a mid first rounder last year, and same thing this year. So, yeah, I really like Cam Jones a lot. He's a 6'4" kind of two guard. He can play the one. He did play the one at Marquette this year. 23 years old, so he's a bit older, but he comes in NBA ready skill set, just kind of an all around combo guard. So he can give you scoring off the dribble, off the pull up, spot up shooter, ball handling, playmaking, solid defensively. I think really he's kind of an all-rounder, and I think the reason he's fallen a bit is that the shot hasn't panned out the way teams thought it would after last year when he returned to Marquette. Because last year he was looking like a guy who would be like, oh my God, are we looking at like a Norman Powell type player here, like Clippers Powell type player? And then he went back, 3-point percentage, 6.1 attempts, 31%. So that's something to look at when the 3-point doesn't improve as much as you'd like it to. I do think there is some context there though, because he was going back to a Marquette team without Tyler Kolek, without
Definitely.
Oso Ighodaro. He was asked to do a hell of a lot more. He had defenses zoning in on him as the guy. He didn't have nearly as much help as last year. So he's naturally going to be taking more difficult shots, more ill-advised shots when the defense is clamped down on him and he doesn't really have a lot of options to pass to. But he's somebody who is just like, why wouldn't you at this point? Just because he's a scorer, 65.9% at the rim, 59% on all of his two pointers in college. And yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Cam, but I really
Yeah.
like him. I have him as a mid first rounder.
Yeah, I really liked him last year. I had him in the first round last year, just outside of the first round this year for me. So if he's there at 39 for Toronto, he would check a lot of boxes for me. 19.2 points, nearly 6 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and then you kind of laid out the efficiency numbers. The biggest thing with Cam is what you mentioned. All of his context of his numbers from this year is he was in a completely different situation. He was asked to be the number one guy when the last couple of years he's been a more of that combo guard, off ball scorer, do a little playmaking, take advantage of advantages that have already been created for him by Tyler Kolek or Oso on a shifting defense. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
and I think that's his role in the NBA. He's not going to be a primary guy, just simply because of how it went this year. I mean, maybe you could say there's still some more untapped there if you give him more on ball reps, but I think he's just fine with. I think he can do some on ball stuff, but not being that guy. 6'3" and a quarter without shoes, 6'6" wingspan, solid 200 pounds, which I like. He doesn't shy away through contact. Like if anything, he initiates it. He absorbs it well, and then yeah, so it's interesting. Do you want to talk about? I don't know what I want to talk about. His on-ball stuff, or like I'm going to talk about his like combo-y guard stuff, which I think is what he's going to be more in the NBA.
Yeah,
Um, he
I think like I did want to touch like because when I was first giving the elevator pitch on him, I mentioned like off the dribble stuff. It wasn't very good last year. It was only 20% of his 70 shots off the dribble ended up hitting. So kind of like low percentage for sure, kind of lowish volume considering his role. Um, it's something to consider for sure because then you look at him like, okay, well, look at what he was doing last year. He was like the primary guy for Marquette. He did a lot of facilitating. Is he still going to be able to provide you that in an off-ball role? I don't think he's going to hurt you as a playmaker. He's not going to
mhm.
be like setting the table like he was at Marquette. It's definitely something he can maybe continue to develop, but I don't think it'll be his role in the
Yeah,
NBA.
I think he's a good shooter though.
Yeah,
Oh, back to the pull up real quick. 33% off pull up threes over the last 2 years. But I mean, on his more than 803 attempts in his college career, he's 37%.
yeah,
Percentage went down last year with more on ball responsibilities, like you mentioned, at 31%. But man, his jumper is like beautiful, dude. And like nearly 40% off the catch as a junior, 30% as a senior. Great shot prep, good footwork, great balance. It's just polished, man. It's
yeah.
polished. And then yeah, he made 37% from three off screens as a senior, only 11 attempts, 6 of 11, but just thought I'd throw that in there. Yeah, what I really like offensively is he uses the threat of his jumper to create space and to get to the rim. And that's why I think the off ball scoring for him would really, that's his role. He can use the threat of, because you got to get out to him. He's going to nail the shot, man. He's going to nail it off the catch. So you got to get out to him. And I think that's when all those on bell reps and stuff can come into play. I think he's going to be able to attack a closeout. I love my dribble pass shoot guys. I think that's what he is.
Yeah, I
He
agree.
has he has a solid frame. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. A bit on the older side, but he's also one of the best guard finishers across the country, which is again one of the big things why this off-ball scoring and the advantage is already created for him with a point guard next to him. He's going to be great over the last couple of seasons. As a junior, he shot 67% at the rim, an absurd number for only having 2 dunks. He only had 2 dunks. He shot near 70% at the rim. And then
Yeah.
as a senior, he averaged 6 rim attempts per game and shot nearly 65%. Great touch.
The touch is
He's not
insane.
the touch is crazy. And he's not like an athlete. He's not an athlete. He's not like a fantastic athlete. Like he's not
He's not
using
he's not
athleticism.
explosive, yeah.
That's not why he's doing it. It's his footwork creating space. It's his balance that he's able to bounce off defenders, and the decel step for me is really good. He has a variety of finishes. I like him. It sounds like we're both high
Yeah.
on him. I thought I was going to be. It was funny when I asked you Cam or Kobe. I'm higher on one and I'm lower on the other, so I think you can guess where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm
But
higher on
yeah,
Cam.
Yeah, but Cam, wouldn't shock me if he goes in the first round. I think I have him in a tier that can go all the way up to size 24. So
Yeah.
I think I'd be fine if a team late first took him. Uh, you know what you're getting out of him. Really good at finishing around the rim. Can shoot a three. The on ball stuff didn't go that well, but he's better on ball than a lot of other guys in this class. So I think in a good situation, he's going to contribute to winning.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like
Offensively, offensively,
offensively, yeah. And like you said, he's a dribble pass shoot guy.
yeah.
He's not he's good at a lot of things. I don't think he's very elite in any one thing, but the fact that he has so many tools in his bag makes him a valuable prospect, in my opinion. And that's why like 39th overall, take him like easily. I would be overjoyed with that pick. Um, but yeah, and then I think you brought up any last thoughts on Cam?
I mean, the defense is probably where the most concerns are, like to kind of temper expectations. Like he wasn't he wasn't like a particularly bad defender, but like wasn't like a positive one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like didn't really disrupt dudes, but I mean, is a bit a tweenerish for me on that end. It could temper expectations a little bit. Like
yeah.
I don't know if he was quick enough to consistently guard ones, but like I don't know if he's going to be big and strong enough to guard twos and threes. You know what I mean? So I think he might be attacked on that end, but I trust like I we'll have to see how it goes. But there is room for concern that he could be played off the floor defensively. You can't rule that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree. I think if he becomes like someone who just doesn't burn you on the defensive end, that'll be his sticking point.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, I think he has the skill set to stick around. I did want to touch on his fit with the Raptors real quick because
Yeah.
we mentioned before his when Kolek and Iguodaro were playing with him. Iguodaro was such a good partner for Cam and how Marquette used him, just because of Iguodaro was so good as like a screener and like short roll playmaker. Sound familiar? Jakob Poeltl is a very good screener and short roll playmaker. So pairing someone like Cam with a center like Yak, who is very familiar with screening, getting the ball, kicking it out, just somebody like that, I think could make a really good use of someone like Cam's skills. So I think he'd be a very good fit on the Raptors in that sense.
Yeah, in general, I think he'll be a really good fit on the Raptors. Like he's another one who, again, he's had the on-ball reps. I wouldn't be like give him the keys to the bench unit or anything, but he's somebody who could play alongside Jamal Shed.
Yep.
Shed could take on the better defensive assignments off the bench, and Cam, could be again more of that off-ball scorer. Obviously, the three-point shot he's going to fit in with Toronto. They need that. He's somebody who theoretically, I mean, when looking at Toronto Raptors, it's all about what fits around Scotty Barnes, right? He is a player who theoretically fits alongside Scotty Barnes. So, and again, you mentioned with the way they're built, he could fit in a multiple scenarios. I think the Raptors have enough size and defensive capabilities for the most part to surround him in that aspect. But yeah, I think he'd be a great fit. He could do some point guardy things while being that off-ball scorer.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you get to this point in the draft too, because like when we're in the first round, you have guys like that we've talked about at the ninth pick, like bigs, like pure bigs, point guards like Jacusionis, and wings like Carter Bryant. But then when you get to the second round, it becomes a lot more like tweener-ish and a lot more guys with kind of undefined roles, maybe like Cam. So I think that if you take, a prototypical big Malawash Queen with the first or with your first round pick, and then you get to the second round, you can afford to maybe take one of these guys with an undefined role, or maybe guys who can play multiple roles. So I think that kind of works out in the Raptors' favor.
Yeah, I mean it's the second round, right? Like
Yeah,
it starts on the dartboard regardless. But talking about 3-point shooting, Kobe Brea, who I don't know, you brought the name up to me, and then I went and digged into a little bit more. So you elevator pitch Kobe Brea,
shooting.
yeah, there
uh,
it is.
Flamethrower, like
Yeah,
like probably
argument for the best shooter in the class.
I would say he is the best shooter in the class. And like that's not something you can really throw around lightly when guys at the top of the class are also good shooters. But yeah, Kobe Brea, 6'6", uh I think he has a negative wingspan, 6'5" wingspan.
Yeah,
But 6'6" guard. He 22 years old, University of Kentucky. His nickname is Fuego. So that tells you a little something about him. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. He's just like we said, when you get to the second round, you're throwing darts. And with Kobe Brea, he's just like when you like, do we want the pound for pound best shooter in the class? Then that's that's what you can go for here.
Yeah.
He's not like a good defender. Um, he's not a ball handler. He's not like laterally very quick. Like he's not beating anyone off the dribble. But fuck man, give him like the tiniest window. He's gonna make a shot. Like his 3-point shooting is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on him as well. I know like
Yeah.
that's kind of that it's a very quick, it's a very succinct elevator pitch, but that's what you're getting, and it's a
Yeah.
valuable skill. So
Well, let's dive into that skill because that's clearly, and again, I talked about this with Nembhard. He has an elite skill. You know what's going to get him on the floor. It's just about everything else rounding out. But yeah, genuine argument for the best shooter in the draft. Drilled 43.5% from three last season, nearly 92% from the line. In 5 years of college, he's hit 43.3% on his 733 point attempts. Like, my goodness. Over the last 2 years, alone, nearly 47% on 465 3-point attempts. So since 2000, players over 6'5" to hit at least 43% from three on over 700 career attempts in a top 10 league in the NCAA. He's up there with like Sam Hauser, Steve Novak, Jessica Pono, and Kyle Korver. So that's the level of shooter we're talking about with Kobe Brea. And for a fit with the Raptors, obviously they need the shooting, and he also nailed threes in transition, nearly 50% um, on transition threes, which again, Toronto loves to push the place. He's somebody who, is going to come anywhere. He's a genuine weapon off screens and movement. 44% on threes off DHOs, which, Jakob Pertl, somebody who loves to do that. Scotty, all these guys with the DHOs. He's somebody who can do that. Nearly 47% off threes off screens. You can run him off elevators, floppy. Like, he's a weapon like not many guys are. Like, to find weapons like that, you have to take somebody at 9, and I don't even know if those guys would be there. So he has great mechanics, obviously.
oh
It's
yeah,
all fluid in one
picturesque.
motion. Nice high release point. Balance is great. He was even 43% off the dribble threes this year. Like, and then he knows how to play with that shot and how to kind of play off it. I don't think he's going to hurt you like turnover wise, like 1.3 assists to 0.5 turnovers.
Mhm.
Moves the ball quickly. He's generally high IQ. Like, he's not going to, when he has the ball in his hands, he's not going to he's not like really going to make a play, but other than like using his shot, but he do lots of things well. Like, even when, obviously without the basketball is where he's gonna mainly have it, and he runs hard on actions, tight around screens. He relocates well. He's really smart off the ball, and he can even curl to get into like a midi pull up, little floater game as well. I would like to see him cut a bit more, but I mean, yeah, offensively, that's the shot. Like, that's where he's at. I don't know where to rank him just simply because I don't know how to. Everything else is not very
He's
good.
he's
Like,
he is a one trick pony, I think.
so where do you have him on your board?
Right now, so like my board is probably looking like it's going to be finalized like the day before the draft. So I'm still playing with
Same.
names a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have him
As of right
just
now, I
based
have him at 42.
just based on names I like. I think I'm going to have him in the mid to late 30s.
Okay.
Like 35 to 40 is probably where he's going to end up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's when you have an elite skill, teams will find a way to get you on the floor, and you'll find a way to make your money in the NBA. So like like probably what was his best game of the year was against the NCAA champions, my Florida Gators. He shot 8 of 11 from the field, 7 of 9 from three, 23 points. Didn't do a whole lot else that game, but Kentucky won. And he was just lights out against one of the best defenses in college basketball. So that kind of tells you how Kentucky was able to game plan with him, and how he was just able to go nuclear against the best team in college basketball. And he's just like you said, he's a weapon. Um, Other than that, yeah, not incredibly noteworthy as a player, but when you have a skill that elite, I think that's something that you have to look at this point in the draft.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think it's unfair to say he doesn't have another NBA caliber skill. Like, not a monster athlete, doesn't really have a first step as a ball handler, um, doesn't really get to the rim. He only took about one shot per game at the rim in half court settings, made 55% of those and only almost 44% on layups. Um, yeah, he's not making advanced reads as a passer. Defensively, he's skinny. So I
Yep.
think he just gets blown through. Unfortunately, I don't think he's like a traffic cone, but he's not great at getting his chest in front of you. And when the chest does get in front, again, most times he's getting overpowered physically. So
Mhm.
yeah, he's one of the more fascinating guys just because of how elite the shooting is. But is it enough to keep you on the floor when everything else is um, breaking down? But for Toronto, I think somebody they could use, but it would be another kind of one trick pony adding to this Raptors lineup. So
Yeah.
again, we're both still fiddling around with it, but he's an interesting one to see because I could see him going. I don't know if I could see him being in the first round. Maybe a team, maybe one of those competitors at the top who needs one could do it, but
Yeah.
he has a
Like,
really wide draft range to me right now.
yeah, I agree. Like, I think, like, maybe I was gonna before the Suns trade, I was gonna say maybe Phoenix, but now that their entire roster is shooting guards, I would say probably not. Um, I could see him, like, maybe the Clippers would really like a guy like that. Maybe the Nuggets trade in. They need
Yeah.
a couple more shooters. But yeah, that's yeah. Again, you mentioned guys like Sam Hauser, Kyle Korver. Those guys are kind of one trick ponies too. But they found a way to they have their role and they do it well. And I think that if you don't have any high expectations for Kobe becoming actual Kobe, then he's gonna probably give you what you want from him.
Yeah. Okay. A couple more guys we'll touch on here. These are more my guys that I presented to Brendan that he then in turn went and looked into them. So I'm interested to hear your opinion on these guys. I want to start with you. Let's go to Yanick Konan-Neerhouser. So I'm in the middle of putting out a piece for an option on him. So keep a lookout for that. But let's once you went and looked into him, what do you think?
Sure. Well, I don't want to bastardize this. This is your guy. So why don't you give me the elevator pitch
Okay, sure.
first, and then I'll
That's a
give you
good
my
idea.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Simply put, one of the best athletes in the class. And not only that, he was one of the best all-time athletes from the center position. Um, I think he'd be a potential target for the Toronto Raptors if they decide not to take a big at 9, which day by day I don't think. I think Toronto's going front court at 9. I'd be shocked at this point if they didn't. That's just me though. That's my read on it. Um, he his measurements are nasty, man. They're really good. One of the easiest reasons to fall in love with this game. 6'11" and a quarter without shoes, weighing in at 243 pounds, with a 37 max inch vertical leap. That was 3 inches larger than the next true big. Uh, a 33.5 inch standing vertical was also fantastic. He posted a 2.4 or 2.84 second shuttle run. That was the 10th best time of the 2025 combine. That's elite stuff for a true big. Again, at damn near 7 foot and 243 pounds. He is strong. He is physical. He can move. Um, it's he fits the role as a true rim running and block a shot. Like that's his role. That's what he does, and he does it pretty well. It's a small sample size of him doing it effectively. First 2 years at Northern Illinois didn't really have much that big of an impact. Transfers to Penn State this year. Plays really well. 12.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks with the Nittany Lions. The 2.3 blocks led the Big Ten. That was 12th in Division One. And then he shot just north of 61% from the field, which led Penn State. And he dunks everything, man. Like, dunks everything. The 11th most dunks this year with a total of 58. A true rim running blocking center with fantastic measurables. One last thing I'll say, out of 13 high major players who had a block percentage of 10 or a steal percentage of 1.5 and over 50 dunks, 10 of them have played serious NBA minutes, and 2 of them with the Raptors. Koloko and Chris Boucher. Other names are Anthony Davis, Mo Bamba, Robert Williams, Walker Kessler, Jackson Hayes, Derek Lively. So you see, it's clear to see the role he has, and I think the impact he's going to make. One of the biggest risers in this class. I'm excited. I don't even know if he'll be there at 39. I have him higher than that, but I think if they decide to wait on a big, he is somebody potentially that could be an option.
I think this is going to be the first prospect that you and I are truly split on.
Okay, let's hear it. This will be fun. It'll be fun.
Okay, so I agree with you. I think is probably, like, in terms of rim running bigs or like traditional bigs, is probably like one of the most typical guys in this class, like the guy who fits that role to a T. Like you said, dunks everything, constant lob threat, amazing athlete. So, like, you can just throw it up and he's going to be there somewhere. The thing that concerns me, and let me know if you have the same concerns here, because he is.
Yeah, I didn't touch on any of the concerns. I was like, I'll do the good stuff, you do the bad stuff, because clearly there's bad stuff. There's a reason why he's a second round guy.
Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, he's like you said, rim running, big, super athletic. Did you find that he maybe looks like super skinny, or do you think that he has a really solid frame? Because I thought maybe he looked a little thin.
I think he's
like bringing to the NBA. Like, is he just gonna get pushed around? That was one of my first thoughts I saw when I was watching him.
I think he's big up top. I think his lower half needs to get stronger.
Right.
I think he has broad shoulders and could theoretically I think he would put more weight up top, but I think he has to get stronger down below. But yeah, that is one of the bigger concerns. He has high hips.
Right.
So there's concerns defensively in the post, despite the really good block numbers. He gets up, and I feel like he makes up for it with his athleticism. But in the NBA, you need a bit more than that. So that is one of the concerns for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and yeah, kind of going back to, you said high hips. I've noticed, like, defensively, I didn't come away super impressed. Like, the shot blocking you mentioned is great. Like, the 2.3 blocks a game in the 25 minutes I think he averaged. So yeah, 25.1, 2.3 blocks. That's obviously really good, and something that he'll probably have to stick to, because I wasn't super impressed with his, like, defensive fundamentals, I guess. I thought he was in general pretty raw. Like, he looked like someone who kind of got lost often, didn't really I don't know, stick to his man as much as he should have, kind of missed rotations. But again, if you're drafting a guy like Niederhauser, you're gonna want to play him in that traditional rim running big role, so like a DeAndre Jordan type, where he's kind of lurking around the rim at all times. I think if you're bringing him out to the perimeter, you're no matter who it is, if they play like this, they're probably getting cooked anyway. So I wouldn't put that too much on him. But it's just something that where I'm like, in the modern game, drawing bigs like him out to the perimeter, which will happen, tend to get burned more often than not. And my last note was the passing, because I think it was like he had a 0.46 assists to turnover, so 0.8 assists per game, 1.7 turnovers, and that was a bit of a red flag for me, especially considering how the Raptors have been running their offense lately with a lot of ball movement. I think that uh, honestly, when you see stuff like that, it basically tells me that he shouldn't be touching the ball unless it's zero point 0.2 seconds before he catches a lob and throws it in the rim. Um, but yeah, other than that, like those were my concerns watching him. And like I said, I think that this is the first prospect where you and I are going to be truly split because we've been fairly in step up to this point. I did want to ask you what your I'll let you address kind of what I just talked about first, but I did want to know what your thoughts were because I thought he for who he is as a player and what his game is, I was kind of impressed with him like on his dribble drives, and I wanted to know if you had a similar note there.
Yeah. Okay. So let me address the concerns you brought up.
Yeah,
I all the same concerns. Like
yeah,
it's yeah. You can see the feel. Like it reminds me of the. I feel there's a trend with us where it's because we had all these same sort of talks when we were talking about Common Malawash, and
yeah,
it's sort of the end. You're known for being a bit lower on Malawash. I'm known for being a bit higher. And again, it's another rim running sort of blocking big where we find that biggest difference in our evaluation. I I fully agree with for the most part everything you said. Like can get lost defensively. I don't necessarily trust him to guard on the perimeter, even though he did play a variety of roles. He was at the level, he hedged and recovered. I think he should just be dropped though. But even when he
yeah.
was in drop, the positioning wasn't the best. I, I like only 4 defensive rebounds per game was kind of also not the best for me. I would like to see that up a bit more, but he was a monster on the O boards. Um, but yeah, so there is the feel for the game in general is not quite there as of right now. Uh, what else? What else did you bring up?
And that's
Yeah,
the so like yeah, there's the defensive fundamentals. He's a bit like we talked about. He's a bit lean. The passing um
yeah,
is
and
is,
then yeah,
is a big red
exactly.
flag for me.
That's the biggest concern is I don't know how Toronto wants. I think I mean I'm being a bit more sold on Derek Queen at 9. I'm starting to come around a bit on it, but yeah, I don't even know if this is the type of big that Toronto wants to go get, just because, like you mentioned, how they want to play their bigs. I just think his. It's funny because yeah, all the concerns are valid and there. It's just he might just be that good of an athlete and that good at what he does that you can help figure everything else out. And what gives me hope is what you brought after is those dribble drives where it's like he can put it on the floor a little bit. He can do a little something, man. I think there's some untapped potential there. It obviously didn't go that well at Penn State for the most part with the negative assist to turnover ratio, but I think it can improve. Um, and then of course like so he has like some like DHO rejects, then gets like downhill and finishes. He has really good footwork in that, and then I think he could take advantage of slower centers. I think that's what he can do. Um, but it's just about can he put that side of it together. And I think he would fit more to what Toronto wants to do, while of course adding vertical spacing and blocking shots and another developmental big in Toronto's system. But yeah, I mean, the jumper is also like, I don't think he's ever going to shoot it. He did shoot it well in pre-draft at the combine, though. Let me pull it up. He was, I believe, 14 of 25 for three in the G League camp spot shooting drill. He was 11 for 51 from three in his college career, only 1 of 11 from Penn State last year. I don't think he's going to ever shoot it, but he shot it well at the combine. So you never know. You never know.
He could probably be a guy that gives you like one a game down the line.
Yeah, yeah. I think the form looks. There's some things to clean up, but I think there's a solid base there. But yeah, it's. I'm trying to. I have the stat of him creating, from the perimeter, like you mentioned. I'm trying to find it, but yeah, it was. He's an interesting player when it comes to that, but yeah, lots of concerns. But to me, he's just like a really good athlete, and I'm trying to sell myself on it.
Yeah, and like like we said so many times during this episode, is that when you get to this point in the draft, you got to look for guys who can give you some outlier skills or something to kind of hang your hat on, right? And when you have a guy
Again, yeah.
who's like a really good athlete like this, then maybe that's worth taking a shot at, because how many second round picks hit and pan out? At least maybe when you're at this pick, you can say, hey, we're taking the best athlete available. We see a ball of clay, right? And we can kind of mold him along the path we see fit. Maybe he just becomes like, guide him along this rim running path, get him as like somebody who can be just a solid backup energy big. And I think that's still a win at this point in the draft.
And it's a need, right? You're taking that
Yeah.
shot on a potential need. So that's the pitch for Yanick Konan-Neerhouser. We'll see how it develops. But yeah, you definitely have seen guys with this archetype who, the highlights look good, but all the subsidiary stuff when you watch the film isn't quite there. But I guess we'll see where he goes. Last guy we mainly wanted to dig into was Jamir Watkins, a guy that's been worked out by Toronto. A couple other guys on this list have as well. Ryan Nembhard, Sion James have also been worked out by the Raptors. A 6'5" without shoes, an enormous 6'11" wingspan. He's a really functional athlete. He's not like overly like explosive, but I think he's quick and has some twitch. Good first step. Can slide. Combines that with some strength. He covers ground quickly with long strides, and then he plays in transition really well, which obviously I've brought up with a couple of the guys here. Fits right in Toronto on that end. He can grab and go, which I think is really good. He gets up and down the floor so quick. He wants to push the tempo, puts the pressure on D, can rise and finish. So I like Jamir Watkins. I think he can do a lot of different things. I'm interested to hear what you think, but yeah, I've been talking for a little bit, so that's the quick little my quick little pitch on Jamir.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be guys in every class where like they wouldn't be my first choice, but if the Raptors pick them, I'm like, all right, sure. And that kind of sums up my feelings on Jamir Watkins, is that like you said, slashing. I like his ball handling. He's a plus playmaker. Actually, sorry, no, he's a negative playmaker, but he's shown flashes to where like I'm like, okay, he can be somebody who can keep the ball moving. He's I think he's a solid defender. Pretty good. Like plus size for his position. Pretty switchable. What else? It gets to the line. Like 7.7 free throw attempts a game at Florida State, 0.59 free throw attempt rate. Like
that's all he wants to do. He wants to get downhill, push it, keep it moving. Like that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. So again, like you're looking at guys with NBA skills. He's got an NBA skill in getting to the line, and I think when you're at 39, looking for guys to add to your roster who's still on the board that we know has a skill that's going to translate, Jamir's got the ability to get to the line. The shooting, I'm coldish on. I'm not super down with the upside. I think like he's got the free throw percentages, but across his 4 seasons, 32.5 from 3, which is not great, obviously, for a guard. Not really an off the dribble shooter either. Whenever he's going off the dribble, it's to get to the rack, right? So, and even when he got to the rim too, I think his finishing numbers were not all that great.
Like, I have them somewhere here. It's offensively to me is where they're more question marks, for sure. Mm-hmm. He did up the 3-point volume massively in this past season, and I thought he was going to come out last year, but I think because he went through the pre-draft process, I think teams said we want you to up the 3-point volume, and he did. He went from 3.3 attempts his previous 3 years to 5.2 this year. Obviously, the efficiency was down to 32.1% from that. I mean, his last 2 seasons before that, he was around 34.1%. So that's the kind of shooter you're getting. Like maybe he gets to an average level. He's I think that's possible. I think it's an outcome where he's an average shooter. But I think I just really like him defensively. That's the thing for me.
Mhm.
He's an impact. He's good on the ball. He's impactful on the ball. Very
Yeah.
tough at point of attack and one-on-one matchups. I trust him. I mentioned that he was quick. He uses it. He keeps his chest in front of his man, and then he uses his strength and length to really not let you get by once he gets his chest on you. I think he can test shots well. He's switchable. Like I think he should defend 1 through 4 in the NBA. To me, I think he can do that. I trust him to guard up against guards, and I trust him to guard some fours. I think he's impactful off ball as well. He rotates around and scrambles on defense, helps out everybody. He forced almost 2 steals per game in his 4th year, 1.2 last year. Gets his long arms into passing lanes. To me, he can weak side contest when he's the low man. I really like him on that end, and that would be the reason I'm drafting him. Because there is some question marks on offense, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think he has enough of a dribble to do some things offensively. Obviously, he gets to the rim a bunch. I think the shooting can come along. That's where I'm at with Jamir Watkins.
And yeah, I think like kind of same boat as you. You're getting a like a defensive guard who can get to the rim. Does he remind you of Delano Banton a little bit?
Different games for sure. I think Delano has more on the ball like
Yeah.
capabilities and stuff like that, and Jamir's a bit better of a defender. But while I'm here, I see the rim attempts. I found it only 51, not even 51% at the rim in the half court in his 4th year, and then again right at 49% last season. Only had 9 half court dunks last year and 6 this year. I mentioned he's not really a particularly vertical. He's a better like horizontal on the floor athlete than getting up and finishing. But yeah, he drove quite a bit. He was almost like an overdriver. He
Yeah.
averaged like 2.5 assists in his 4th year, and then 2.7 last season in his 5th year. So yeah, sorry not to interrupt, but I found the stats. So with Banton, I think Banton's more an offensively guy. Watkins is more of the defensive like side of it, but I
Mhm.
see where you're going.
I see like just like kind of the similar like taller guard who are like a little more defensively inclined, can get to the line. Again, yeah, like I think you mentioned like yeah, Banton's a bit more offensively gifted. I think Banton's more of a like a taller point guard, whereas Watkins is more of a shorter forward.
Winger, yeah,
Yeah.
forward, yeah.
Yeah, so like I in that respect is like where they kind of differ. But I do think that he's gonna stick around as like a defender. It's just like defense first guards are a tough sell for me personally, just due to how the game is now. And if he's not really showing much signs of becoming a shooter down the line, I do really like how much he gets to the line. I think that's a skill that's going to stick and that's going to keep him in the league for a little bit. But I would want to see more improvement from three and just more on ball stuff. But I think at this point you're just drafting him because he can hold his own defensively, which is also perfectly respectable. I do think the Raptors need to get a lot better defending the wing, which Watkins would be an immediate shot in the arm there. So yeah, I'm really I'll probably end up with him in the 40s. I don't know where you end up having him, but he's going to be somebody who I'm keeping an eye on at 39.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I'm still fiddling around with it, but yeah, I have him around uh 41, 42, 43, right around Sion, Nembhard, Kobe Brea. Like they're all in that same area for me. Last thing I'll say, yeah, 34% off the catch from 3 last season. So I think I think he can get to I think he's going to be able to nail some threes. I don't know how consistent he'll be, but that's the biggest swing skill for me. If he can shoot it at least a reasonable level, then you know that he's a multi-positional defender on the wing, on defense. He can get to the rim and create that way. I think he can attack a closeout. I think he has enough ability to do that. I think he can potentially drain some threes. So Jamir Watkins, we're an hour and 5 into this thing. I see you stretching there. I'm starting to get a little winded here. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, man. Yeah, it's we've said it so many times, but I think if they end up holding on to 39, get somebody who has an NBA skill who can stick around, somebody with maybe like an outlier ability, even if they're not like 100% polished all around. If you can get somebody with that NBA skill who can stick around, you're happy with this pick. Just because of how the depth of this draft has hollowed out over the past couple weeks, and if they end up holding on to it, I think they're just maybe they I think the Raptors need affordable depth. And hitting on your second round picks especially is an easy way to get affordable depth. Like we saw it with Battle and hitting on your second round guys last year, Shed and Mobo. That is how you build another championship team. We see it with OKC and Indiana. They have cheap depth pieces who can contribute in so many ways that I think getting these guys who can just get their foot in the door with an NBA skill, maybe provide some versatility all around if they don't have one elite
Yeah.
skill, then that's what you want to get here. And I think pretty much all these guys we've touched on today have some semblance of being able to do that. So yeah, that's like for me right now, if Kalkbrenner's not there, I don't even think we're going to talk about Kalkbrenner because I'm 99% sure he's going to go in the first round at this point. But Sion, Cam, and Ryan, probably my three guys I'm looking at 39 right now. I do also like Brea. I like Watkins. I'm lower on Niederhauser. We talked about that, but all these guys have a path towards being contributors in the NBA, and I think that hopefully the Raptors scouts see the same things we see.
Well, we'll see. We could be completely off base. There's a reason we're here and they're there, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. Hudson Jaeger is somebody that also I think could be talked about. I know some of the other guys at Raptors Republic have touched on him, so left him out of today. But yeah, thanks for watching, Reddit. Thanks for coming all out. I think we'll do one more pod reacting to their draft picks and kind of diving into their games. Maybe it's somebody we already talked about. That'd be great. But I think that's going to do it for the pre-draft process is wrapping up. We're right around the corner. By the time this comes out, it'll be officially, I guess, draft week, 2 days away. So thanks for watching. Check out all of Brendan's work. I think he still has a couple more that he's going to pump out before the beginning of the draft. A couple more options at 39. A couple more options at 39. Do you have any more at 9, or are you done all those?
I might have one or two guys at 9 that I just want to cover just to cover my bases. But yeah, a couple more guys at 39 still to do.
All right, so keep a lookout for that. I have obviously my Yanick Konan-Neerhouser one coming out, so take a look at that. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Only more content's going to be coming on the channel with the draft a couple of days away. Free agency then opens up like 4 days later. And then, of course, Kevin Durant's been traded. So maybe the Raptors are still looking for that big fish or whatever it is. But yeah, thanks for watching. Take care.
See you guys.